Hello, I'm CZG123, and these are stories of old New York City. Today's story is about the Beatles and video stores. So if you like this story and you've liked the other ones, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Hit the like. Anyways, I must have been 11 years old, I think, and up the block on 86 and Broadway, on the west side, across from Williams Chicken, was a Blimpies, and I loved Blimpies at the time. You know, they would put in the oil and vinegar, and all their sandwiches just were so good. And I preferred them over Subway. When Subway came around and Blimpies was already gone, I just couldn't believe it. It's so disheartening to think that Subway replaced Blimpie in terms of a place to go get sandwiches. But anyways, that's another story. So next to this Blimpies, like not that far away, like maybe a few stores down, was a video store. You go in, you rent videos. That's what we used to do in the day. We used to rent VHS tapes. And my parents were like, yeah, go get a movie. So at the time, and right now, I'm a huge Beatles fan. I love the Beatles. Love them. And I had already seen on VHS, because my parents recorded it. I don't know what channel showed it, but they showed Yellow Submarine, which incidentally was the first movie my parents saw together on their first date, Yellow Submarine. So I saw that, I loved it, and I must have heard about Let It Be. So I was like, oh, I really want to see Let It Be. So they're like, go ahead, have at it. So, you know, I make the turn at Blimpies, and I go to the video store, and they had this guy working there. His name was Jacques, and he wasn't French, but he was like a really tall dude, young man. Maybe he was in his early 20s, but like really rather plump, and didn't really take good care of himself. It was kind of schlubby, but he was very, very funny. And I'm blanking on the names of the other people who worked there, but they were great. I'm blanking on the name of the store. But so I go in, I'm like, hey, Jacques. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to rent a movie. So anyways, I got Let It Be. He was like, oh. So I get Let It Be, I go home and I watch it. And I don't know how far I got, but I just started bawling. Because for the first time, I'm seeing the Beatles as they were at that time. You know, lots of strife, arguments, and like weird looks, you know, and it just destroyed me. I was like, oh my God, it was so sad. I started crying. And my parents were like, you know, go exchange it, bring it back. I was like, okay. So I walked back over towards Blimpies. I'm wiping tears from my eyes. I thought about getting a Blimpies, you know, make myself feel better, but I didn't, because I wanted to see a movie. So I go back in, and Jacques, of course, is like, well, that was quick. And I was like, look, man, this movie's way too upsetting, and can I exchange it? And he was like, yeah, sure, have at it, go ahead. So I picked High Anxiety by Mel Brooks, and got a few good chuckles from the people in the video store that I would trade in Let It Be for High Anxiety. But got home, watched it, and loved it. And I think that was the beginning of my love for Mel Brooks. And then around that time, maybe soon enough, comes out History of the World Part 1. And I saw that in the theater, and I was just like, he's awesome. Mel Brooks is just like genius. Anyways, that's the story. You know, we used to go to video stores, we used to rent these clunky big VHS cassette tapes, and they were really all over the place. There was a great one on Columbus Avenue and maybe 82nd, 81st called Videodrome. Next to Penny Whistle, or not far from Penny Whistle Books. That was an old bookstore. It was mostly children's books, and they had like fun toys and stuff. But around that area was also a video store called Videodrome, and that place was dope. It was a huge store. It had like tons of, you know, recent releases and stuff. Recent releases. The store that I went to was Jacques. It was a really cramped little store. They would eventually move uptown, still on the west side, maybe Amsterdam or Broadway, and it didn't get any bigger. Very weird, but their location, you know. So yeah, their location was like very small, but we loved it. We would always go in there, and they had a bunch of VHS, but there was no rhyme or reason. It was just kind of like, get a tape, you know, rent a tape. Anyways, yeah, that's my story of old New York City. The Beatles, Blimpies.